Nick's Helper, a festive short story written and narrated by Robert Fairhead from the Tall and True writer's website. The job offer notification pops up on my phone early on Christmas Eve. It's a short-term role helping with overnight deliveries. The regular delivery driver has hurt his back and needs an off-sider for heavy lifting. Once I would have declined the job and spent Christmas Eve with my kids. I love the excited glow on their faces when they put out a glass of milk and cookies for Santa and carrots for the reindeer. But Mary has the kids for Christmas this year, and I need the money, so I swipe right and freshen up for the Zoom interview. Mary and I grew apart as her career took off and mine nosedived. The separation was amicable, and we agreed on joint custody of the kids, with alternate birthdays and Christmases. Tomorrow the kids will open presents with Mary and her mother on the West Coast, while I'll be home alone in the East. My phone vibrates with an incoming Zoom call. "Hello? Is that Chris?" A jolly voice booms. "Yes, that's right, Mr. Claw." "Please, call me Nick," the voice interrupts. "I'm very glad you're available after my silly accident, Chris. I tripped on a toy and wrenched my back. I'm okay carrying small deliveries, but not big ones." Either Nick has a cheap Zoom camera or he's fog-bound, because his image on my screen is faint and fuzzy. "Alabaster," Nick shouts to someone. "Shut the door, please. There's too much snow inside. I can't see Chris." I hear bells jingling and a door slamming. The screen clears to reveal rosy cheeks and twinkling eyes, framed by a bushy white beard and a white-fringed red cap with a matching pom-pom. I blink twice and croak, "You're San." "Please, Chris. Call me Nick." He interrupts again with a hearty ho ho ho. "Let's discuss the job. It's almost midday in the Eastern Hemisphere, and I need to finalise plans for tonight's deliveries." Nick outlines the Christmas Eve logistics and how he's employing locals like me to avoid the red tape and delays of organising work visas for individual countries. My role will be to help with deliveries in Australia, starting on the East Coast and zigzagging our way west, chasing the orange sunset. I'm stunned. The kids still believe in the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, and Santa. Imagine if they knew Dad was working with, Nick. I signed a non-disclosure agreement for the job, so I can't reveal much about Christmas Eve, other than to say that, against all odds, we completed our deliveries, big and small. Fittingly, our last stop was Mary's mother's house in the west, where Nick let me sneak the kids' presents into their Santa sacks and polish off the milk and cookies they'd left out while he fed his reindeer. I felt a little lonely in the morning, but the memory of being Nick's helper and seeing the kids' faces plundering their Santa sacks on my phone made it a Merry Christmas. Hi, I'm Robert Fairhead from Tall and True Short Reads and the Tall and True writer's website. I wrote Nick's Helper for the Australian Writers' Centre's monthly writing challenge, Furious Fiction, in December 2024. The brief for the challenge was that each 500-word short story had to take place, mostly, on Christmas Eve, include a character who has an accident of some kind, and contain the words against, tooth, and orange. Did you hear them in the episode? 2024 was my 5th December Furious Fiction, since my first in 2020. In previous years, I had eschewed Christmas themes suggested in the brief. For example, The Gift in 2020, episode 13 of Tall and True Short Reads, and The Special Tree in 2022, episode 52. Neither story had anything to do with Christmas. But because the December 2024 story had to take place mostly on Christmas Eve, I leaned heavily into a tale involving Santa. Nick. Brainstorming the story, I reasoned that if Nick hurt his back, he'd need help with the heavy lifting on his Christmas Eve delivery run. And to avoid the need for work visas, he'd employ locals. I created a local temporary delivery offsider, Chris, who would rather spend Christmas Eve with his kids, but this year they're spending Christmas on the West Coast with his former wife Mary and her mother. So Chris accepts the job offer notification and has a Zoom interview with the regular delivery driver, who he realises is San. Call me Nick. Did I deliberately name the main characters Chris, Mary and Nick? Yes, of course. I knew my Santa theme was obvious, but I tried to make it more subtle by alluding to the characters and delivery job until the evening of Christmas Eve. and then Chris couldn't reveal much about the night because he'd signed a non-disclosure agreement. Some things should remain a secret. The next episode of Tall and True Short Reads, Chapter 3 in the 9 Lives of Leo Roberts, The House Party, will be released in the new year. In the meantime, please visit the podcast website tallandtrueshortreads.com or check your podcasting app feed for earlier Season 5 episodes and for over 100 episodes from Seasons 1 to 4. You'll find a selection of my short stories, blog posts and other writings at tallandtrue.com. You can also buy my short story and microfiction collections from the Amazon Kindle, Apple Books and Kobo online bookstores. There are links in the show notes. Please follow or subscribe to Tall and True Short Reads and rate and review it on your favourite podcasting app. Doing so helps other listeners enjoy my storytelling. You can support the podcast and my Season 5 stories by making a small one-off or regular donation through the Acast supporter page. Once again, there's a link in the show notes. Finally, I wish you a happy and safe festive and holiday season. Please share this episode with family and friends and spread the good tidings about Tall and True Short Reads and the Tall and True Writers website. Postscript. I released this episode on the 15th of December 2025. I dedicate it to the innocent victims of the mass shooting at the Hanukkah event on Bondi Beach on Sunday 14th of December. To their families and friends, may their memory be a blessing.